but I want you to get this book. He slipped in an anonymous name and wrote a book. His name is he wrote a book called W.H. Mueller. That's the name. Now, it's not going to be Kenneth Grant. He had to sneak to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and print this book. It's a book called his name is he's going under the anonymous name or the pen name of W.H. Mueller. M-U-L-L-E-R. And the name of the book is called Polaria. Polaria. He had to sneak in the country to write this shit. So he got about 7 to 10 books out. He got about 9 books out. This one book has got the science of all 9 books he put out over the years. I got all 9 books in this one little book. And he snuck in the country on these crackers and put it under another name. And before they knew what was happening, the book was already out. It's called Polaria and stuff. It's a badass book on alchemy and all. It's got some of everything in it. Stuff on the Matrix, all this stuff. It's in this particular book. Book came out. He snuck in here secretly in '96 and put the book out. I had it since '97. It's called Polaria. And in there they talk about the 8th chakra. The 8th chakra is the root chakra that's opening up. That's the planet X. If you look into Kabbalah, some parts of the tree of life, they'll show a little X and a circle at the bottom in what they call Malkuth. Malkuth is the bottom sphere. So the 8th chakra, they're talking about planet X, and the crackers is looking out here. The 8th chakra open up in us. Now I know what I'm talking about, because see, this comes back to the water thing. And I talk about that water and that entity. In 1995, I drank 2 gallons of water a day from Sunday to Wednesday, January of 95. First of 95. And Wednesday I started time traveling. We'll talk about that. I drank the water and I loosened up some of that melanin down in the gastrointestinal tract, which is memory. And I started time traveling. I went back to 78, I went back to 1980, and this is what it was. When I went back to 1980, I was in college then, and I saw faces of thousands of people, the whole faculty, the whole student body, and it's impossible for you to remember that many people. And I was saying, damn, I remember this, and I was saying, wait a minute, hold on, I'm here. I was actually there walking around the college campus. I even smelled. How can you remember smells? I smelled smells. I said, damn, I'm time traveling. And I wasn't sleeping. I was awake and I was telling my ex-girlfriend, I said, man, I'm back at Benedict. I said, damn, look at this shit here. I said, I'm back at my house in 78 with I got some girl cousins. I'm hearing them talking. So I was time traveling. Then after that, when I drink water, I get drunk. Just like a Colt 45. So now, it's interesting because since the Matrix came out and this planet X hit, now I know some stuff that's happening while you got to get on the water, because I've been drinking the water and been getting drunk again. So that meant that what I tapped into in 95 was a glimpse of stuff, and it took rigorous amount of water, damn near, 2 gallons a day. You see what I'm saying? For 4 days, I just drank a glass now and get the same energy. You see? You get the same energy. That's what we tapping back into. So the planet X that it was talking about is called X marks the spot. It's the 8th chakra, but that X is going to end up in the pineal gland. You see what I'm saying? In the pineal gland. Very key.
Does the water push it up?
Yes, what happens is the water is, see what happens here is this here. There's certain particles all over the central nervous system, but they're separated. When you oxygenate the central nervous system with this water, it brings these particles together. And a certain amount of water get down in that gastrointestinal tract, down in near the ravenous dragon where the pearl resides. They talk about go down where the ravenous dragon where the pearl resides. And deep down in the anus part down in that area called Tartarus. That's where hell is. You know where hell is? The hell is in the body. Because the soul, your soul, not your spirit, everybody has a spirit, your soul is down there in the rectum, in the bowels. So when it goes down in, it hits down in, there's all kind of melanin particles and microscopic organisms and you loosen that shit up, and you loosen that up, and then the Kundalini energy is a fire, and that steam brings it up to the pineal gland. And all, and it's a form. It's nothing but a reactor. It's actually alchemy. It's a chemical reactor. That's what the body is. So all of that stuff is in there and all. But now the planet X is hit. That meant that stuff is open. That's the gateways to the underworld. That's Zion. Remember, it was talking about Zion in the movie The Matrix, and it said it was deep in the bowels of the ocean of the earth. Well, the movie came out on the 15th. That means the Zion inside of you, which is down there, open up. What's that?
What's the best word? Spring?
Well, see, all that, see, the thing about it is, see, you get it into technicalities. The Kundalini in us, when the water hits the Kundalini, it purifies things. Me, I can't say this, I started out on spring water in 95. You can drink spring water all the time. After I drank that water, it was spring water at the time. I drank it for 3 days in time travel. I couldn't stand the taste of spring water. Only thing I could drink was distilled. That's the only thing I can tell you. The only thing I could drink was distilled after I did that with the 4 days. I never could drink the spring water again after that. Now, going on, there's a brother named Kalindi. He used to be in he was in what's that book? Nile Valley Civilization book. Ivan Van Sertima book. He wrote an article on the African origins of martial arts. I think it's in Ivan Valley. It's in some of his earlier books, Kalindi. Anyway, he's a martial artist. He wrote a book, and they study African martial arts. They got several places in the country where these brothers that come in and have put back together African martial arts. They study it, and they're doing this shit all over the country. And they got an African form of martial arts, and they got brothers that studying this stuff, and they might have something in this area. They got it popping up all over the country. Of people getting back, tapping into African martial arts. Whatever they did is they traced one of the forms of what the Asian thing was. They traced it, and they must have found out that they traced it back to Kemet, and that's the one that they're dealing with. So anyway, Kalindi is one of those people who was was the pioneers. He's one of the wrote the book for Ivan Van Sertima, African chapter, Nile Valley Civilization on African martial arts. So he knows me real good, and when I was in Detroit the last time, he said that he had a friend that was in the hospital, and he went down to the hospital, and somehow he was in the hospital room waiting on him. And he said it was a machine, and he stuck his hand in this machine. And he said the bells, it started ringing, and the bells went off, and the nurses ran in the machine, and she ran in and stuff. And they was like, what happened? He said, I stuck my hand in that machine and it went off. They were like, what? They said, go get another machine. He went and got another machine, had him stick his hand up in there again, and it went off again. They said, this machine has to be malfunctioning. They went and got another machine and stuck his hand in there, and it went off again. And they said, this can't be happening. He said, what? He said, this machine, when you stick your hand in there, they put this on your hand when you're laying up in the hospital, and when you die, it goes off. It's a monitor. He said, all for you to stick your hand in that machine, and it rang 3 times, you dead. You are dead. So I started laughing because I already know, because see, the process happened to me. And this is what the deal is, what is locked back into the high blood pressure shit that I've been coming to you for the last 3 years talking about. This high blood pressure shit is divine. Now let me show you how it goes. In this book, Kundalini, the Energy of Depths, in the first couple of chapters, the Kundalini, the Energy of Depths, by Lillian Silver. And I've been talking about this in one of the few books I bring on the road with me. By Lillian Silver, since 9/11, I had to cut down on all my books just to get to the airport. Now, according to this book and according to some studies called Kashmir Shaivism, Kashmir is a place that's in India, and they deal with some mysteries of Shiva. There's a book called The Triadic Heart of Shiva. And it deals with all this stuff based on the heart chakra and why even the Egyptians said that the heart was the most important part of the body, but they weren't talking about the physical heart that pumped the blood. Now this is one of the mysteries so you can understand this. Whenever the Kundalini starts to rise, your heartbeat automatically speeds up. And in 2000, I could run down the street and don't get a heartbeat. But I could go to sleep and my heart about to jump out my fucking chest. I say, this shit is backwards. Now how is it I can do all this tedious work and don't get a heartbeat at all damn near, but when I go to sleep, my heart about to jump out my chest? And took me a while to figure out what was going on. The heartbeat that I was getting was not the heartbeat of my physical heart, because it jumping like that, it will explode. You know, so I had a friend who was on crack, and they got him in the hospital. The guy said, man, if you'd have came a minute later, your whole heart would have blew up, would have exploded. He said, man, it was rapid heartbeat, but I'm having this shit every night. And then sometimes I just be sitting in the chair and this shit will cut on. Ooh. Then I started having this shit cut on like a motherfucking motor. What the fuck is this shit? It cut on shit like a washing machine. Shishing, shishing, shishing. God damn shit is this? Shishing, shishing, shishing in my chest. All of 2000 and the first part of 2001. What the hell is this? Okay. I'm thinking it is my physical heart, but it's not my physical heart, although my physical heart has the symptoms. Because I told you, when they took my blood pressure, and all the doctors started running down the damn hall, this shit is, it was like whatever it was, the shit had gone all the way around, or whatever, however the shit read, mine was the highest a person in human condition can have. You know, right? And I told you, and it was a black girl in there from Cuba. And she said, you don't got no high blood pressure. She looked at me because she's psychic. She knew I knew what she was talking about. She said, whatever it is, it's something else. These fools up in here don't know. But she said, you don't got no high blood pressure. She knew what time it was, but she's real spiritual. Okay. Now, the mystery here is, took me a while to figure it out, but it's your heart chakra. You have two hearts. And this is what happens. Now we're talking the eighth chakra, which is in you, which is all opened up. That's the eighth chakra. So if shit start to happen, you will know. Because that's what Planet X was. That's what hit. That's why the X-Men came out. And you are the mutants. It's a mutation. Now let me explain what it is. You have a soul. Your soul is down in your gastrointestinal tract. Your soul is down in your anus. I talked about this stuff for years. In the eighth chakra. Get the book Polaria. They talk about the eighth chakra. R.H. Mueller. R.H. Mueller is his name. W.H. Mueller. Polaria. It's a hell of a book. It's one of the most advanced books on the planet. So advanced, he had to sneak into Albuquerque, New Mexico in America to print it. And he from Britain because he couldn't get the shit printed in Britain. But you got to take your time with it. It's a book that'll take you the next 10 years to study, and it's about this thick. It's just that packed with stuff. Polaria, it's just that advanced on the planet. It'll take you 10 years to study, because he got 9 volumes in a book this big, where he scrapped them all down and put it in one book. And they was all raising hell, because he was a part of the Crawley Society, and they was raising hell about some of his stuff, and they was waiting on his next book to come out. He snuck in the country and printed Polaria under another name. And they didn't find out until 98 that it was Kenneth Grant. But it was R.H. Mueller, and that's the book you need to get. That's the one that's still in print. But I'm talking about it, and they're going to take that shit out of print soon. Polaria, you can order it. Barnes & Nobles and Borders still sells it. It's a Brotherhood of Light publications out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. But just, you know, you don't need nothing but the name and the damn author. The 8th chakra, that's down in the anus. That's where your soul is. Sleeping. Sleeping. Some Three Stooges shit right there. That's where your soul is. Sleeping. Now it's interesting. This is the most amazing thing. I went to Pittsburgh and they was just in awe with the cursing. They was like, huh. I said, man, y'all program like crazy, man. They was just like, oh Lord. And I said, ironic. I was raised by two disciplinarian school teachers who used to whip us for saying doggone, blasted. We couldn't say nothing. I get a beating, doggone, blasted. You know, all kind of little shit. Anything that just had a little flat to it, you get our ass cut. Yeah, we get our ass cut from that stuff. You know, but we was bad boys, man. Woo, we was bad. Real bad. I remember I was thinking the other day, we wasn't bad. It wasn't the kind of bad like you have, you know, it's a different kind of bad now. You know you have children not just be grown. In front of grown people. No, we was nice in front of grown people. There's a difference. We was nice in front of grown people, you know. You know, that was that diplomacy. Because you get your ass whipped. You don't have all kind of laws. Excuse passing. You don't even hear that shit no more. No. Kids be running all around all up in your damn face. That shit didn't happen, you know. Excuse passing. Get out of in front of grown people. You done had all kind of little laws and shit that we used to go through. So we lost all that shit. Now that's why we going crazy in the hills of North America. They don't know how to raise the children because them motherfuckers ain't on their regiment that they used to. We used to be a military regiment. Jews pass and this, that. You know what I'm saying? You know,
excuse pass.
But all kind of shit. Man, I can't remember. It was so much stuff. You know, you get around a grown person and stuff. You know, you gotta come correct. But they said, you know, they go back to Africa. They said in the ancient world they had to do the same thing. You know, it's all kind of protocols that we had growing up in the South and stuff. You get killed. You see what I'm saying with stuff like that. But so we was cool in front of the grandparents, but we was bad as hell, man. We had a shit meal. I had two brothers, man. We was hell, man. We used to pee in Mountain Dew bottles and give them to each other. Hey, mama, bought you Mountain Dew. Crazy shit. But anyway, now. And I'm looking, I say, damn, now I got all this home training now and all, and I'm this vulgar. But that's all a part of the spirit to break you from all that little child stuff. Anyway, going back to this thing based on the 8th chakra. The soul is down in the 8th chakra sleeping. But once it wakes up, it starts to rise. It sets its home up again in the heart chakra. Then it starts to mature. But guess what? The soul has its own heartbeat. Shiva, which is the Christ energy, the soul has its own heartbeat. So what happens is this. This heartbeat starts to pulsate. It will pulsate and it'll go along with your other heartbeat. Then what happens here is, once it matures, it cancels out your other heartbeat and you die. You no longer physically live. You no longer physically live. And so it's interesting how big as I am, I never have no pain, never hurt, never no backache, never no nothing. Nothing on me hurt at all. But the body is deteriorating every 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But I feel no pain. That's because you don't live anymore. So when Kalindi was saying that his hand, see, I didn't used to say this stuff, but it was because Kimberly said, I said, damn, Kimberly, what the hell is going on? I said, she said, that was the sister, one of the psychics. She said, this was in the summer of 2001. She said, the spirit telling me sometime, somewhere back here in the spring of the year, you died and didn't know you was dead. You passed on in the night and didn't know you was dead. Like that. And it was interesting because I had another sister. I told you I got a sister. I'm 41. She's 71. This other a friend of mine that lives out in California. And so she started going through all this same kind of metamorphosis. And then her gray hair started growing black hair. And stuff like that. Started growing black hair. So we talk about that types of metamorphosis and stuff, and that's the type of stuff that's starting to happen. With everybody, everybody getting younger, and all kinds of things is getting ready to happen and stuff, because the aging going to start to reverse. You see what I'm saying? By drinking the water and start doing those types of things, the aging going to start to reverse based on all this type of stuff. And what's happening here is you literally die. And just like the vampire stuff, 2001 my body was going through all kind of metamorphosis and stuff like that. But what it was a whole other entity setting up. So the planet X thing here is that X marks the spot. That is the root chakra. That is the last final stage of the Kundalini energy of the Great Mother rising up in all of us. You see what I'm saying? And that's the stuff that's actually going down. Now let's go on, because we got a lot more stuff to cover. So let's go on with some other things right now. Now the ancestors, I talked about this last night, are coming back, where we had the same brothers working in the corn in the sugarcane fields, working in the sugarcane fields. He sit out there and he don't do no work. He just drives. So they load his truck up and he drives it to the mill, and then they unload it and he drives back. And he said he sit out there and he just basically sits there and he watches videos and stuff. And he said he was out there and he could see slaves working in the field. He could see slaves working inside of the fields in Louisiana. But he said, but right after that, about 5 owners of the fields committed suicide. So I said, here it is again. They inherited their parents' blunders. And so when them spirits come back, they see that same energy, they're killing them. Remember back in Haiti in '94, when they went up into Haiti, when the soldiers went up into Haiti, they was turning the gun on themselves and killing each other in Haiti. That's because they were dealing with that voodoo was strong. You see. So we need to find out what happened with that black soldier over in Iraq who went in there and killed up and shot up that platoon. Or that unit. There's a lot of stuff going down. Now follow me. So he would see slaves working in the field. Well, the sister named Aviva said that when I told her the story, she said, well, that's interesting. She said, because she said, I was visiting this guy, and he told me to walk out of his cornfield. And I walked out in the cornfield, and when I turned the corner, I could see slaves working in it, and I ran back to the house hollering. He said, you ain't the first person who could see slaves working out there in the field. Now, which is interesting, because that's the same Field of Dreams shit. The movie Field of Dreams, that whole concept, if you build it, they will come. All right, then, so now, apparently, what was happening here was you got a group of slaves, people that was born in slavery. They was born in slavery. You got some that came over from slavery, then you got a whole generation that was born in slavery. The only thing they knew from sun up to sundown was work. And as a result, their souls got trapped. And they don't go nowhere because they are reduced down to the concept of going anywhere. They are reduced down to farm machinery. So the only thing they know is to work. So when they die and certain things come, certain doorways open, they're not going nowhere. They got to crop their goddamn field. See what I'm saying? So their souls are caught in a perpetual state of work. These are trapped souls. There was a movie out about called Restless Spirits, came out in '99. It's a movie about a plane crash that happened in the early 1900s, and these two guys, the plane crash would happen every month that it fogged, and where in this swamp area, they would come back up and they would experience the plane crash until this little white girl found them. She could see them and stuff and help them fly their plane back to France, because it's a movie called Restless Spirits, and it talks about that how a soul can get trapped. Something traumatic happens and that soul is trapped. You see what I'm saying? Well, it's the same thing concept with these slaves. These slaves, the only thing they know from sun up to sundown was when they was born, so they would work, they would play till age 7. Some of them would go to work in the house, but the only thing they would know is to work. So when they died, they was That's all they ever thought. They never knew any other kind of knowledge or anything, and that's what they do in a perpetual aspect of slavery. So they still out there in the fields working. And it's probably thousands, if not millions, that's still out in the fields working. The ones that was born in slavery. Those were souls that was trapped. Now I'm going to show you something here now, how this thing works with souls. Some souls can incarnate and still be trapped in a former life. And then you got a lot of black men like this. They go to work. They go to work every day. If they can work on Sunday, they will work on Sunday. They work every day. I've seen motherfuckers like this. They work. That's all they know how to do is they work. They don't miss no days. And then what happens is, right before they get ready to retire, they'll come home and go to sleep and die. Work their damn self to death. Just an old work mutant. You got some sisters like that. That's all they know how to do. But what it is the soul is in another dimension still trapped working. It's some weird. The spirit world is multi-dimensional. It's all kind of shit that's going on. And everything in this universe is horrible. Ain't nothing down this motherfucker good. Not just on the earth, but from the far reaches of the universe, all this shit is rotten. That's why it all has to be destroyed. Now, only thing that's good is the illusion that you think shit is good. Souls is trapped down this motherfucker and just going through hell. So they work and work. Now this is interesting. So I talked about this on the tape. A sister named Sharon in Chicago called me up and said, hey, I had a son that was in the army, in the service in Virginia in the early 90s. And he used to call me from Virginia and say, Mama, they got a plantation up here. Literally real people that don't know the day that slavery is over and they just be out there working. Say they got a plantation up there and they just be out there working. They don't know that slavery is over. And he said, no, these are real slaves. These ain't old ghosts. These are real slaves. She told me about that. I told her to call him back. He said he rolled up there one time and said, hey, slavery over. Hey, what y'all doing working? He said him and another boy rolled his hand. He said she used to tell him about this is in 93. I said, call him back and ask him, can you get in touch? She said, I can get in touch with him right now. I said, ask him when he used to holler at them that they answer back. And he said that when she called him, he said, no, they never would answer back. I said, those were slaves. Although they appear real, and they were so, the dimension, you went into a dimension, so you got the slaves, and then you could go into a pocket in a dimension, and it should be real. Like the Twilight Zone, you just fell off in some shit that was real. But they in another dimension. He said, no, they never would answer me back. They never, but the key here is, apparently the ones that was dying in Louisiana, these slaves now are waking up. These souls and these spirits are waking up. Your ancestors are waking up. This goes back to the ship that went out on the ocean I talked about last night. The ship that went out on the ocean, them two cruise ships that went out in the Caribbean, and the people came back sick. It wasn't nothing wrong with the damn food. They came back sick because that's because them ghosts and stuff was fucking with them passengers out there. And they even had a movie called Ghost Ship that came out about the same scenario. They got a movie called The Pirates. It's a movie coming out with Johnny Depp. The Pirates of the Caribbean. And in the movie, it's a ship of ghosts. Ghost pirates that died. This is real shit. This is ghost time, and this is the stuff that's what the ancestral shit I'm talking about. This stuff is back upon. Now, that goes back to what's happening in the Middle Passage when they said that they used to, the slaves, when the slaves would, when a ship would slow down, if they would get the slaves to port, if they didn't get them there on the day that the invoice say, get them there, they have to charge, they'd have to sell them for less because the buyers wouldn't buy them for the full price. So in order to make it on time, they would have to, if the ship slowed down, they would abort slaves, throw slaves off the ship, and the sharks would remember would always follow the slowest ship because they can know that the ship that's the slowest they're going to have to throw slaves on. And the sharks would eat the slaves. And as a result, them spirits would get into the slaves, into the sharks. And even though the sharks have died, the spirits keep incarnating into the ancestors. And then when they had the shark bites and stuff, them were slaves. The other year, and I'm talking about that type of thing. Them sharks and get ready to come back. You see what I'm saying? They got a lot of stuff like that happening and stuff. But that's that whole ancestral thing, as well as, here goes again, all of your hurricanes that come off of the coast, they come from the Ivory Coast to the Caribbean and to the East Coast of the United States. All that shit is coming from those particular winds and those spirits from them slaves. And they was talking about millions that died. So the key here is, that's the same thing that's going back, like we talked about last night, that's going back to the stuff that's happening in Iraq. When the windstorm came the first 2 days, those was called Khamsin, K-H-A-S-E-M. K-H-A-M-S-E-N, Khamsin. And that means spirits are winds. And it's called something else in Hebrew. The word for wind and spirit is the same. Those are elemental forces. So when the sandstorm came, those souls or those spirits in that particular area, which are souls, jinns, genies, those are all aspects of spirits. Got on them fucking soldiers and contaminated them. There's some stuff there when you got disease. Disease is also, spirits can be in disease. So now what's happening here is, these soldiers, they done caught some shit over there, but it ain't no germ warfare. It's some shit from the spirit realm, and they get ready to come back into America and bring this shit back to America. And it's going to be spirits. You don't have to worry about it because it's all our shit. The war getting ready to start. Now, as a result, they trying to keep them over there now because they know what the hell happened. So now, they get these other people killing these soldiers every day, 2 a day, 3 a day. Then they tell them, we got 100,000 soldiers over here. We need another additional amount of soldiers to come over here. Goddamn, you got 100,000 soldiers already over there. And they were shipping them back, but now they realized when they were shipping them back, what happened was they found out that the soldiers on the ship were sick. And they're still fighting the war over there. And they need them soldiers to be over there, and they got the other UN soldiers over here occupying the shit so they can put this country on lockdown. But it's a spiritual war that's going on, and they got these entities on them. They got these entities on him. I'm going to get back in that in a few minutes, because I got to go into the aspect. I got to give you the 10 deities, then I got to go in the aspect of what happened as a result of that fucking war. They released something that the Jews didn't want to release. See, the Jews, and we talk about the Jews, we talk about the Israelis, or the Israelis, the fake Jews. Those particular ones, they tell you in the book Richard Barron's book, The Lost Scrolls of King Solomon. They say, no, Lucifer or Satan is not our enemy, Lilith is. And the whole Jews, they say, we're trying to stop the Lilith energy, which is the Kali spiritual Kundalini energy. So they talk about stopping the feminine energy. That's what the Israel is about. But when they went over there, they unleashed some entities. They unleashed a form of the Great Mother. And that's what the 2 psychics, the one in California, she rose up on the 15th of May, which was the same day of the Matrix. They had a lunar eclipse. Anytime you're dealing with the moon, you're dealing with the form of the Great Mother. And that's a meeting of the sun and the moon. And so this whole planet X is also a form of a goddess. Now I'm gonna break it down metaphysically, and there's an energy and stuff. So just hold on for 1 minute. Let me just deal with this particular stuff right here. Deal with this particular stuff. This is the part that came off the internet. What if the powers that be, including Saddam Saddam Hussein knows it, that there is going to, and let's see, and that they are going to enter through a stargate, a porthole in Iraq. Suddenly, all this forest of a war stuff become intrinsically different, an intrinsically different scenario. How better to get that much firepower, weapons, etc., and forces in one area than a pretend war with an old ally. See, they're calling him an ally. Maybe that's why the date keeps getting pushed back. So they're talking about getting pushed back to the spring equinox when they came into Iraq. But we know that he's an ally. We know that he's chilling somewhere. They ain't found his sons. They ain't found no weapons of mass destruction. They ain't found nothing. And you know, I never really thought that white people would be so dumb and stupid. You know what I'm saying? But this is ridiculous. They just going right along with what this motherfucker say. You know what I'm saying? But right now, you come and give them some good advice and they question you from hell to high water. But here it is, you got an idiot over here, which is the president, who's following orders and lead them, you see what I'm saying, to death. You see, now the key here is, going back, that whole thing was fake. Now, like I said last night, I want to put this back to Exhibit A. You're going to go and somehow find the movie Deterrence. Anybody find it yet? It's a movie called Deterrence. Deterrence. Like you deter something, deterrence. Kevin Pollak is his name. It was an actor. Cheryl Lee Ralph, the black woman, Moesha Mama. And what's the other guy name? Timothy Hutton. In the movie, it's a movie that was put out in 1999. It was released in 1999, which means that it was made in 1998. Now check this out. The movie was released in 1999. And in this particular movie, this movie talks about a president that lost the election but was appointed anyway. So he lost the election, but he was appointed. Now this is in '99. The Bush campaign didn't even start till November 2000. So he lost the election, but was appointed. Appointed. He picks as his running mate Cheryl Lee Ralph, which is a black woman, who is supposed to be what? Condoleezza Rice. Now Condoleezza Rice wasn't picked until 2001. In the movie, he goes to war because he wants to prove that he's a legitimate president, so he goes to war with Iraq. In this case, it's Saddam Hussein's son, but in this time, they was talking about Saddam Hussein's son in this war compared to the one in 91. And he goes to war with Iraq. And France opposes them in the movie. Now, didn't France oppose them? Well, in this movie that came out, France opposed them, and then they come to find out France sold them weapons. Didn't France, some of the stuff? Now, all that I just said happened in the 2000, but this happened in 1998 when they made the fucking movie. Letting you know that all this stuff is scripted. Now, what I said to you last night here is that they understand that all that's Northeast Africa and all that particular part is nothing but ancient Babylonia, ancient, which is nothing but a part of the Kushite Empire that reaches up into India. Including Afghanistan, Iraq, and all that stuff ain't nothing but ancient Kushite Empire. Because remember now, at one time this was all one landmass, and we looking at continent, and the black man's home was the whole damn earth. Now they got sequestered right now in China. Right now in China, they got a whole black nation over there that they don't let nobody see. Why you think they ain't let? Why you think that they? See, you can always draw the connection. Now China and America don't supposed to be getting along, but China was communist. But communism comes out of Russia. And a Russian communist with America and Russia wasn't getting along, but now America and Russia getting along. But World War II, America and Russia was friends, and Japan and them was enemy. Now Japan and Russia is friends, and you know this shit ain't nothing but the same shit all over again. They ain't never no enemies, just the ones that they want to dupe the people with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My point here is why is China on lockdown now? Mao Zedong is dead. Why? That's because they can't open China up because there's a whole black people over there that they sequester. They sequestered the whole black people in Vietnam. And why is it everywhere they fight is some black people chilling over there? Philippines ain't nothing but a whole bunch of black people. Huh?
Indonesia, Australia.
Yeah, all that.
Micronesia too.
All that stuff. What's his name just put out a new video? Your boy, Ranoka Rashidi. He went to all them places and ain't nothing but black people. You know, he been talking about this and, you know, did all the work with Ida Van Sertima, all African persons in early Asia. Went over there and he said they went to Vietnam. And it was over there and all, and he said, those people, they lived underground for 10 years. You know, now they coming out on the Discovery Channel. You all see this shit? They coming on Discovery Channel, and they showing the underground tunnels of the Vietnamese. And the people were saying that they would come up out of the ground like monsters and shoot them down and kill them up. And they whip America ass over there, and they go back underground. It was children, babies, and everything living underground with an elaborate system with air, food, and everything. They said some of the people lived under there for 10 years. So he said he's over there, and he said, do you all, he said, I'm American. They say, so what? He said, but we went to war with y'all. They say, so what? We won. You know what I'm saying? The point is these are black places all over the country. Why is it that, now I want to see something here now. Wait a minute. Now let's look at the mentality here. Texas used to be a part of Mexico. And Texas is rich. That's one of the richest states in America. Texas. But why is Mexico poor? And why is it that Mexico is kind of mystical and closed off? That's because Mexico got some shit down there that they don't want you to see. This is a big continent. You know, that part, that's a big country or whatever you want to call it. A subcontinent. Basically, there's all kind of stuff that they don't want you to see down there. You see, black people, all kind of mystical stuff they got going on down there. You see, and they don't want you to go down there and see this type of stuff. So it's just interesting how this thing goes. Now, dealing with this, going back, and I talked about this last night, that the Typhonian Egyptians, which is the Cushite Egyptians, which is the pre-dynastic Egyptians, had rituals and spells that could destroy the earth. So if they had rituals that could destroy the earth, they had rituals and spells that could save the earth. So these crackers, it's pinpointed this stuff because the Typhonian Egyptians also travel up into Babylonia. And so which is ancient Persia and then later on Iraq and Iran and even Syria, which is called Assyria. And in this particular part here, even Syria. In this particular area, they went in there, they ramshacked the museum, they carted out all the stuff. But let me tell you, don't let nobody fool you. The museum they went in there and they took their time. Saddam Hussein, because he worked with them, they went in there and they took their time and they took all that shit out of the museum, all that stuff out of the library. They took all that out and then they started a damn war and blamed all that shit on Luton. So they can go in and try to study this stuff to save their butt, but can't none of that shit work because it's all ancestral. It's all based on the spirit forces. And all of them rituals is defunct other than the ones that the ancient black people, which is now us, make up. You see what I'm saying? The only rituals now that can work is the one that you go in and plan out how to work. That's why the bookstores is full of all them magical books now, because none of that shit works. The only stuff work now is the stuff that you make up in your head. So they come in, so they're running scared. They're running scared. You see, this is the key on what's going on. But hold on, because I want to go into something that happened when they went into that war. Because even Farrakhan told him, he said, you're going to go in there, his last prophecy, and he dropped on that last tape. He said, you're going to go up in there, and he said, you're going to win the war. He said, but when you get back, America going to fall. That was the prophecy that was given to him by Elijah Muhammad, dead on the money. Okay, stick with me, because there's a movie you got to go rent in a few minutes. Okay, let me go through this stuff right now, because in this book here, see, this is when you study stuff outside of, you got to study from the cradle to the grave. In this book here, they're going to talk about a goddess named Nemesis. Nemesis is a goddess. So Nemesis is a goddess of retribution. Huh?
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Nemesis is a goddess of retribution. It's a form of Maya. It's a Greek form of Maya called Nemesis. It's a god of retribution. It's a goddess of retribution. It's like the woman having her say-so. Now, I'm going to go into this right quick. I'm getting ready to go into this Bible thing right quick. But I want to go into this right now. There's a book that you need to get called Amor and Psyche. Amor and Psyche by Eric Neumann. Let me see how to spell that, Eric Neumann. How he spells it in here. Let me see how he spells it in here. I got the book and I didn't even bring the damn thing. But I want to get the right spelling. Neumann. Neumann. Eric Neumann. He got a book called Amor and Psyche. That's the one you want to get. Now, this is a quintessential book because this book explains why, first of all, the black woman suffers, especially in matters of love. You got a burden on your ass when it comes to matters of love and shit. You are unfulfilled. And if you are fulfilled in that kind, you consider yourself lucky. Because that's the number one shit all over the planet. Is that and like most psychics say, it's unfulfilled in love. It's a burden. But it's a burden why the black woman goes through her hell in matters of the heart. And her burden on other aspects, but as matters of the heart. Now, and also the black man goes through his hell based on jealousy. Somebody else being jealous. So now, let me explain this thing. The book, you got to read this tale. Now, the book is broken down into two things. The tale is called Cupid and Psyche. Okay, you read the tale in the first part of the book, and the second part of the book is the commentary by Eric Neumann. It's a quintessential book on a lot of stuff dealing with everything from romance to all the type of stuff. But I need to go into this right quick so you can understand some things on why you suffer. But then, the irony of it is the black man suffers too for the same reason, but it's on a whole nother level. But I'm going to give it to you right now. Psyche, the story goes that Psyche is a beautiful woman. So beautiful that men, they won't even ask for a date, they won't even go to because they're just intimidated by her because she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful until the men in the land and some women abandon the goddess of love, which is Aphrodite in this tale. They abandon the goddess of love, and in so many words, they start worshiping Psyche. So the goddess of love gets jealous and puts Psyche through all kind of hell, tells Psyche she got to go live in the mountain to herself, and she's going to have to face this demon or this beast or this monster. They took this and wove it in the movie A Clash of the Titans. Clash of the Titans. They say your daughter got to come here and the Kraken going to take your daughter. Get that movie. That's the movie you can study. You need to buy that shit because you can study that movie all the time about the myths Because the Greek myth says Etruscan, which is black. Now that you know that the language is black and the mythology is black, you can go and get these tales. So, they wove it into that particular movie. But the tale here is the goddess Aphrodite. She gets so jealous until she has to send it to, in order for, so she don't put scunion on the family. They got to take her and stake her to a mountain and give and make so that she is in care of this monster.
She was also married to her son Cupid.
Yeah. So what happened is what she did was she told her son Cupid to go, because Aphrodite's son is Cupid or Amor or Eros. So she tells her son Eros, see, it's Harpocrates, which is the baby Horus in Egypt. It's the baby Jesus in later mythology. It's Cupid in Rome. It's Eros in Greece. All that is the same entity, the god, the little mischievous one that make you fall in love. And it's also your heart chakra, the baby of the egg. In the movies, in the tale, she tells her son to go shoot Psyche in the heart and make her fall in love, gonna really put her through some hell. And when he goes up to shoot her, she's so beautiful till his arrow slip and hit him in the damn leg, and he fall in love with Psyche too. So the tale goes on, they have this love affair, and she comes and he visits her at night because he's a god, so she can't look at him. It's a whole long story, but at the end, the fight is so bad between her and Aphrodite is so jealous and putting her through so much hell until the gods have to intercede. And on her behalf, she ascends to the higher level and she becomes a goddess. So now, in so many words, this is the mystery on what's happening with the black woman and the black man, but we'll first deal with the black woman. The beauty of Psyche is not necessarily talking about your physical body, it's talking about your soul. You see, the reason why Aphrodite is jealous, which is the goddess of love, because she's looking at the goddess, or she's looking at the human Psyche, the mortal, that one day will replace her as the goddess of love. But she's in human form. And she knows, so it's also telling you that the mortals one day will be the gods. And either the gods will be destroyed, or they will come our slaves, or they will have to just chill and be one of us, but they're going to have to get down with our program. Because we are the next slated to rule. That's what the X-Men movie is about. That's what the Matrix thing is about. That's why they're putting the white boy up in there to try to rule or whatever. The good part about that, he is part Chinese and part Hawaiian. So they wasn't stupid to put an old cracker up in there. Keanu Reeves ain't all, ain't 100%. He might have a little white up in it and stuff, but he got some indigenous stuff going down. You see what I'm saying? So we'll take that over the side as being a Negro right now. You know what I'm saying? For the sake of reclaiming. What's that? How much time you got? Okay, go ahead. You want to change? Yeah. I'm back. Anyway. So, your soul, when the goddesses look at your soul, the ones that's going to be replaced, they are jealous because they know that you are rising up. You are the next ones to rule. So therefore, the key here is that the goddesses make sure that they put you, or a few of them, I'm not going to say all the goddesses, not the one or two of them, make sure that they put you through hell in matters of love. And that's why you got to bear the burden in matters of love and stuff like that. It's like, you find love, but it's like, I know that the sisters is always looking for that ultimate killer love. You know what I'm saying? That kind of shit, That killer shit where you just like, fuck it, you can kill me now. I think I pretty much found it. And so you long for that type of killer love type thing here and all, you see what I'm saying, on that particular level. Some of you are lucky to find it and stuff like that. Some of you compromise, and some of you just say, well, that shit don't exist. But it does. But the mystery here is, the sisters always long for that love, and I think that the biggest burden of most sisters is the failed in the matters of the heart. But it don't matter because all the motherfuckers is unhappy down there. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't alone in that shit. You see, you ain't alone in that. You're not alone in that. But like I said, that is your burden. Your burden is you are literally, in matters of the heart, that's one of the most things that that runs short when it comes to sisters. The man has his plight because the gods in this same story, in so many words it represents that, knows that he's going to be the next ruler too, so therefore they put you on lockdown, and you can never, and your whole concept is to be the pinnacle of civilization, which in this particular case your burden is that you just can't seem to get on top of civilization as a group whole. You see what I'm saying? As a whole, because the simple fact that, you know, the man got his foot on your neck, but in so many words, that's the burden that is going down with you, with the white man and all this. It can have a multiplicity of things that's going on where it's always in turmoil, but that's what this story is actually talking about. And the name of that book is A More Insight. Everybody need to get that book and study that tale real good. And then study the commentary real good and all. But in the Clash of the Titans, they go into a little bit of that also in that particular book also too. Now, moving right along, let's go into this particular part of let's go in that particular part in the particular part in the actual breakdown of this metaphysics of the Bible. Moving right along. And we can see what we can deal with here. Y'all alright? Okay. Okay. Couple of things here. Alright. And we're gonna go through random quotes in the Bible. It's up to you to find them or whatever. I think it's in 2 Kings. In the 2 Kings, they say that Elijah will anoint the word Jehu, Jehu, king of all of Israel. Now, in the Greek text, that's Horus. There's a whole text of the god Jehu or Jehu, Jehu. That's Heru, that's Horus, right in the Bible, king of all of Israel, king of all Israel. As you know, I'm giving you several quotes. Isaiah 45 says that I will give you the powers of darkness. Well, what is the powers of darkness? Obviously, we're talking about melanin. We're talking about melanin. That's in Isaiah 45. I talk about, when I give you the names of these particular entities, I talk about 3 entities called Otincha, Th, Sheola, which is these 3 sisters with the liquor. You mix the liquor and they come and call upon them and all that type of thing. But Otincha, Th, Sheola, which is the 3 women are the 3 sisters, but they're in all types of mythology. The 3 Gorgons, Medusa, being one of them, the 3 Gorgons. In all these mythologies have these 3 sisters. Also in the movie Brother, Where Art Thou, they show the 3 sisters. I talked about that last time. They show the 3 sisters in Brother, Where Art Thou, carrying the damn liquor jug. 3 sirens, or sirens. That's where you get the word siren from these entities or whatever. So you always get these 3 in I think it's in what's that? Book of Matthew. They talk about 3 wise virgins. 3 wise virgins in the book of Matthew, and 3 foolish virgins. This is a story between those who have souls and those who don't have souls. Those who have melanin and those who don't have melanin. There's 3 wise virgins in the book that have oil for their lamp. Well, oil is what? Carbon. The lamp, anytime you hear the lamp of God, there's a lamp of God in the Bible, ain't it? Anybody hear that about the lamp? There's a lamp of God or something that's in the Bible. Anytime you hear the lamp of God, that's the pineal gland. That's the pineal gland. So there's 3 wise virgins who have oil for their lamp, and 3 foolish virgins who don't have oil for their lamp. That's got to be talking about the mutant woman or the hybrid woman. And they said, "Will you give us oil for your lamp?" Three foolish virgins, I think it's in the Gospel of Matthew, say, "Will you give us oil for your lamp?" And they go, "No, if I give you oil for my lamp, I won't have no lamp, no oil." And it's a story about alchemy, melanin, and so the three foolish virgins go wander off so they can find oil for the lamp. And when they're gone, the kingdom of heaven opens up, and because the other ones have oil in their lamp, melanin, they step into the kingdom of heaven. You see what I'm saying? That's in the book of Matthew. Also, book of Revelation. You just have to find it. Just going through a bunch of stuff in there that's dealing with stuff. Book of Revelation. You just have to find it. They talk about the ones, and I've been talking about this for years. The ones who will be lifted up will be the ones that was cast down before the foundation of the earth. Well, who was cast down before the foundation of the earth? Lucifer and his followers. So those are the ones that will be lifted up. Well, who are Lucifer and their followers? And cast down for the foundation of earth. We are Lucifer and the followers and stuff, because the simple fact is, what do they mean by that? Cast down before the foundation of earth. Well, I was talking about it earlier when I said that the soul is down in the anus, which is the gastrointestinal tract, and deep in the bowels. That's called torturers, hell, Hades. So that those that was cast down in the physical body, and that's where hell is. It's inside of you, down here. So when we say that you can't go out here and turn these people on to consciousness, they're not going to get it, is because their consciousness is down here in the root chakra, and it has to be in the heart chakra before you can even wake people up. Otherwise, they, you know what I'm saying, that's because they're still asleep. And they will only know what the society gives them. So they'll learn all this information. If they still sleep, they'll still go back to the church. You see what I'm saying? You can understand, so why they going back to that? You know, they know that, you know, there's higher knowledge and whatever, but they're still asleep, and they go right back. That's because their soul is in their root chakra, and they can't wake up and stuff. So they'll go right back. So these organizations are good for them, because that's the only thing that they can deal with. That's because they're not awake yet. So those who were cast down before the foundation of the earth, that's in the book of Revelation, that is us. But then again, on the other hand, where is this hell or Hades and stuff? Is down here in the root chakra, the 8th chakra. So you went to hell a long time ago. Jesus died to save us all. You heard that before. Well, this is the same thing that has something to do with those who were cast down. Jesus died on the cross. Well, if you take your hand and stand out like this, and close your legs together and stand up, that's the cross. Where's the cross? The physical body. So when you hear things like, bear your cross, they're talking about living the physical body, bear the physical body, because this is the cross. So Jesus died on the cross. Well, number one, if you take the Jesus out of it and put the Christ died on the cross, number one, the great mystery is the Christ is nothing but an ancient word for the soul. And the Christ died on the cross means that the soul is inside of the physical body sleeping. So it's